Hi, my name is Ken Gidge. This is The Art of Politics. Gidge as in vote for Gidge. I am a Democrat and from Ward 6. And we have a lot to talk about. Today is the 13th. Today is Thursday, the 13th of the great, is it September?
It's September.
Okay, September. And also my partner in crime, David.
And I am the aforementioned partner in crime, Ken.
Hey, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
And I'm Dave Robbins. I'm running for state rep from Ward 9, Hillsborough District 36. I'm the Republican, and I'm also appealing to Republicans, Democrats, independents, and I like to think of myself as just an appealing kind of guy. With that said, let's get right to it.
Oh, let's get right to it. The appealing type of guy.
Well,
Oh
I
my
am
God.
too. I was out in the sun.
You're appealing out in the sun. You know, he.
What?
Oh God. All right. Listen. I want to get a little serious just for a while. Not too much, because we've had some things that took place over in Egypt and also Libya, and now I understand Yemen is heating up, and tomorrow is Friday the 14th. Today's the 13th, Thursday. This is September. By the time our show is seen, whatever hell takes place, it's going to be done, supposedly, and maybe the Middle East will be sort of starting up and breaking up again. But let us stay here for a moment. As you know, you probably know very well that what took place over in Egypt was on 9/11. This was, I believe, pre-planned. In Egypt, they were a little bit more settled, but they did go into the compound, and some people in the compound said, and this was regarding some material, a little movie made in California, making Mohammed look like a dog or something. So the people over there went absolutely nuts. So they went into the compound over in Egypt, and the people over in Egypt says, whoa, hold on a second. And it is in our Constitution. We believe in freedom of religion. We do not, every religion, and that was basically it. Now, your man, Mr. Romney, who only heard that, said, hey, this is a political moment for me to get something in. They are apologizing. Well, there was no apology at all. And he even said the president was, which he didn't. But what Romney didn't know at that very moment, the attacks were taking place in Libya, which he didn't know at that moment, all right? And if he would have kept his mouth shut, he would have been informed about what was going on. But from what I understand, they tried to get in touch with him, but they would not accept a call from the president and or his people. So he stepped out and he took a shot at our president and said, quite simply, we do not apologize. Not knowing what's taking place, where 4 people were killed, an ambassador of ours, nice guy from what I understand, from all parties. Even McCain stood up in the Congress yesterday and told the whole story about him. This was one of those guys that went into Libya before everything was, the war was over, got people together, got people working. So what took place, first of all, in Egypt was one thing. In Libya, they decided that they were going to not only storm our embassy, but they were going to kill people. That was going to be their 9/11 thing. And so anyway, someone got killed, etc. And I thought Romney, and I think even Peggy Noonan, who writes for the New York Times, I believe. She writes,
among other things, yes.
Yeah, right. She writes for the New York Times, who is very much of a Republican, said, you know, if you don't really know what's going on, give it a little time and shut up. And I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent. Look, Romney, before he went over to the UK, all right, to start making himself look like he knew something about foreign policy, he said, and it's almost, I quote, I'm not sure if the Olympics are going to be safe, which the UK went absolutely nuts over this, because you want people to go to the Olympics. You don't want them to fear. And he had done the Olympics before, so you would think that he would know better. So they wrote Mitt the Twit. So then he goes to Israel, and of course, Israel is a friend of ours, there's no question. But what he did is he snubbed the people across the border who are also friends of ours and who are also making an attempt to get along. So it makes them look weak. And so that was not too good. And then he pulled this one. So if I was a Republican, military or whatever, if you can't vote for Obama, certainly you got to think about not voting for him.
All right. So your contention with this is that Governor Romney is uninformed, shot from the hip on a couple of things without knowing what he was, bad pun, without knowing what he was saying, and that he was trying to score political points in a situation that really where we should have been pulling together. Is that pretty much the situation?
I would say yes. Pulling together certainly is one way of putting it. This together, but it was not a time. It was a time to see what was going on. Mm-hmm. What he didn't do was wait and try to get more information. And everyone, Republicans and everyone, have made the comment that this is really a boob. Now, I know that you have the union leader, which we'll certainly talk about that, but like Rush Limbaugh, they're all trying to justify what he did, and you can't justify it. So, you have the union leader.
The union leader, first off, from my point of view, there is a little bit of truth to everything you've said. For one thing, this is a situation which, to the extent possible, should not be politicized on the domestic scene.
Under any circumstances.
On the domestic scene should not be politicized. Everything's political, but to the extent that we can.
Well, domestic, it's not domestic, it's international.
Well, let me finish on this. Yep. I'm talking about the presidential race. You know, we should, to the extent we can, we should keep it out. Second thing is, yes, it is a sober and appropriate thing to do to say, we're still getting information. The president's the point person on this. We should, let him do what he needs to do, and then we can talk about it after the fact. But so there's no mixed message coming out of this country. It should be the president who's the point person on that. And what was your third point?
Well, that was number one. Number two, the Olympics, how we screwed foreign policy, and also Israel not going over and talking to the Palestinians.
Well, I would put those in a different place. And I guess what I want to say is I would tend to agree with you on this particular incident, on the way I think that the Republican response should have been, let's at least find out what's going on.
Should have been no response.
Before we say anything.
Yeah,
but
right.
Before we say anything. No, I mean, this is legitimate issue to bring up. But as far as sending a message immediately. And the second thing is, I forgot what the second thing was, but I was agreeing with you.
Okay.
Now
this is the union leader.
Joe McQuaid, today, again, we're Thursday, September 13th, 2012.
Correct.
This is my first union leader that got delivered to the house. I got a cut rate subscription when I went to Market Basket for 10 weeks.
Aren't you lucky?
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to call up the Telegraph and say, can you match the offer?
Okay, go ahead. Come on, I want to hear what it says.
All right, well, you were talking for 10 minutes before
I understand,
we got. All right, real quick. This is titled "Pitiful and Pathetic." Joe McQuaid, brief editorial, talks about the president's bloodless and without any emotion whatsoever appearance Wednesday, seeking justice for the murders of Ambassador to Libya Chris Stevens. Pretty much an afterthought to his discussion. What it goes on to say
What do you mean an afterthought? I don't understand.
In other words, the fact that justice for Ambassador Stevens and his and the other people who were killed.
That was just an afterthought.
Was just an afterthought.
Oh, okay. So he wasn't being presidential.
That is what
okay.
Joe's saying. And finally, but what else to expect from a president who's been apologizing for the United States and literally kowtowing to foreigners since he took office? Now, I think that there is something
please, that he kowtowed to.
Well, I think that he, for one thing, just the whole foreign policy, I don't think he's been particularly strong in anything, has he?
Gee, I think from both Bushes, I think from even the Republican Party who are trying to elect him are all saying his weakest point, not the president's, but Romney's, is bad. And the strongest point for Obama happens to be his foreign policy. Okay, so McQuaid is saying he's a very Republican. Go ahead.
The union leader is very Republican.
Right, okay.
This, after all, is the man whose party convention last week boasted of its military savvy while mistakenly showing Russian warships on the big screen. Never mind his absolute bungling on the American economy. No issue there. If Romney remains in office for another 4 years, America as we know it will be in great peril. And
That's right. I agree with you. If Romney gets into the first 4 years, we'll be in great peril. Yeah, I agree.
That one's going to be on the highlight clip, isn't it?
Yeah, that's going to be. You underline that one. Highlight clip.
Let me correct that very quickly.
You know, and
thank God I've got makeup on.
Makeup.
Otherwise, I'd be beat red. If Obama remains in office for another 4 years, America as we know it will be in great peril.
Okay, could we talk a little bit about that?
Please, go right ahead.
Okay, economically, let me just see if I've got this straight. Economically, in the history of our country, there have been 2 times that have been where our country literally could have crumbled. Possibly 3, you probably could say, well, the Civil War. But economically, 1929 was the crash. In 1929, they put up, after that, they put up rules this will never happen again. Okay. So we have Clinton administration, which he ends up with a surplus. Everybody's working, everyone's, okay. In comes Bush. Not only is the surplus gone, okay, he gives tax breaks to the rich, and we gave the rich money, okay. Not only he gives them a tax break, but what happens is they ruin the economy, and this was the Republicans running it. So in steps a president with 2 wars, an economy that is tanked, the Wall Street was at 600-something points at that time. And at that particular...
was it 600 points? What do you mean?
600, well, the Dow today, I think, is close to 1,300.
The Dow's over 1,300. It was down to...
Okay, it was down to 685.
But do you remember a little something called 9/11 in there that had a significant impact on all this?
No. Considering 9/11, okay, putting that all together and taking a look at the situation, this man walked in with the second worst time in the history of America. He walked into this, and in 4 years, the Dow is up, more people are working. By the way, I love people saying he's not getting too many jobs. When he took over, there was 1 month there was a loss of 750,000 jobs. That stopped. Last month it was 60 or 90,000 jobs. Not enough, but still, we're going forward.
But
we're going forward slow.
On the jobs
so
front,
Obama is going to come in.
Obama. I like another. Can the highlight on there?
Underline that. Obama.
Yep. All right, there we go. We're even.
I like that Obama. That's good. But I mean, Obama's Obama. Romney.
All right. I'm going to whisper this every time.
Romney does not want to give up any of his tax records. Not even his 2. We haven't even got the 2 years yet. Okay.
You know what? We've.
Yeah, I know we've done. I know we've gone over that.
All right.
How about the? Wait a minute. And I'll give you the time. How about the plan of what he's going to do? He's not telling anybody anything he's going to do, other than I'll get more jobs. But you got to have some sort of a plan, I think. Excuse me.
What plan did President Obama have when he came in? I offer you hope. I offer you change.
And
that's right. All we're getting is change for our hope, and it's quarters, dimes, and nickels.
Oh, really?
It's not folding money.
Oh, okay. So the banks are not. Banks are not solid.
I like that little tagline. I think I'm going to use that when I go door to door.
We have an industry, an auto industry that's back up and running in the largest in the world.
I've actually done some reading on that. General Motors is owned by the government, and the government is taking a bath. A lot of it's owned by the government. The government's taking a bath.
Hold on. I believe the individual. It's not Renault. What is it? It's the Italian automaker Fiat came over, borrowed, I think it was $30 billion from the United States at 19%. It's paid back, by the way, if you didn't know that. That's paid back.
There is money that's been paid back, but still the United States has control and is responsible for a significant part of GM, and the price that it is now could be selling for is down. I mean, we're holding the bag. You and I and every other taxpayer is holding the bag.
With 1 million people working, we're holding the bag. Gee, I think that's not too bad.
So in other words, when some company goes belly up, wait a minute, we should subsidize all of it. What about the little businesses? What about, what about the little guy?
Did you forget that I said, and I'm finding more Republicans forgetting this, did you forget what I said about the second worst time in the history, and the only thing you and other Republicans can do is saying, well, it's not as good as it ought to be. And I'll say this to you, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? You are.
No.
You're not.
No, not.
Do you have a new car?
Not financially.
Do you have a new car?
My wife does.
That's right.
I got her hand-me-down.
A newer car.
I got her hand-me-down.
Are you, excuse me, do you have your insurance paid?
Yes.
Okay. Are you making money from retiring?
I have a pension. I'm
and
fortunate
what
enough.
did you retire from?
I retired from the federal government.
Federal government. Okay, so here's a Republican, all right, federal government, and you're not one person who wants the federal government to go down. So you really believe that Romney can do a better job than what Obama's been doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can't argue with you. If that's how you think, I can't argue with you.
All right. You talked about economic times. First thing, at the end of the Clinton administration, the economy had already started to go south. What you talk about things that people inherited. You talk about what.
Excuse me. There was a.
No, let me finish.
Yeah, I know, but you're making.
No, just let me finish. You've been talking for 15 out of the last 17.
Right, but I haven't done lies.
Let me finish.
I haven't done lies.
Oh, let me just finish. The economy was going south already. It peaked in.
They had a $2 trillion surplus.
It peaked in 2000, and it was.
It had a surplus.
It was heading
All
down.
Right, okay.
The
All
deficit. Right. It was heading down into deficit. You talk about people inheriting bad situations. 9/11, although it physically happened when Bush was in office, was not Bush's issue. It was Clinton's issue. Clinton had 8 years to deal with the issue as it came up. The original Trade Center bombing took place in 1993. He had a significant opportunity to take.
The person who did that's in jail, by the way. The blind clerk. So don't use that as an example.
He had a significant opportunity to deal with Osama bin Laden, and he just said, "No, I'm not going to do this."
Oh, so when Bush got the headline that we're in trouble, he did nothing.
Bush took office. 9 months later, less than 9 months later, the trade centers were bombed. He responded as best he could. Again, you talk about inheriting a mess.
As best as he could.
You talk about inheriting a mess. He inherited a mess. He's gradually started to get the economy going.
And
you know what?
And
one
what
last
did he
thing.
do?
One last thing. You know what our current president has done? He's taken, when he took office, there was a $10 trillion deficit. That's what was added up over the last 225 years. He has added 60% to that. We now have a $16 trillion deficit projection.
Okay, so let's see if I've got this straight. All right, we were tanking, potentially losing this particular country. 2 wars in the back of the bus, by the way. All right, nothing is running. All right, and by the way, don't start giving Bush any credit. He shouldn't have gone to Iraq. That was a real bad thing, and we're getting kicked in the ass for it now.
You know what? I would tend to agree.
All right,
with you.
okay.
I would on Iraq. Should have focused on
starting
Afghanistan.
a war, and then Romney he wants to go after Iran. He's mad at China. He's mad at Russia. He insulted the people that everyone's trying to work with Israel. Mm-hmm. I mean, gee, are we going to get back into wars with him? He doesn't know when to shut up. He lies. Even the individual that he has as a vice president is a liar. Right in his speech, the beginning speech, the first speech he ever makes before the public, he lies.
We've talked about that.
I know.
He didn't lie. He didn't lie.
He didn't lie?
He didn't lie. You go back and read the speech.
Excuse me.
Have you read the speech?
Yeah, well, no, I'll tell you what. I've seen
it
enough.
I've read the speech.
But the problem was the plant was closed in Bush's time, and he blames it on Obama.
No, what he was saying is
he didn't.
No, what he was saying was he wasn't saying that Obama closed the plant. What he was saying, he was commenting upon what Obama said about, with federal government help, this is going to be open for another 100 years. And he was pointing out the fact that, no, federal government ain't gonna do that. You can't trust or depend on the federal government to do things like that because, in fact, the plant closed.
Okay, David, that's a good point.
He didn't say that Obama closed it.
I'm not going to ask you what you get for a pension from the federal government, but I got a little questions to ask you since you work for the federal government and you have a good insurance policy.
I worked for you know what? I worked for the Social Security Administration for 33 years, and I'll tell you something.
That's the government?
Federal government.
Okay.
One of the things I do know is I do know Social Security in and out. I know some of the stuff about the financing. I know how people get Social Security. I know about dollars in, dollars out. If anybody is going to have anything to do with the Social Security Administration, protect seniors, protect people who are on disability, I would just suggest to people that it's me.
It's you?
Yes.
Oh, God. Let's call Romney, okay? We'll call Romney and say that...
This message paid for by the candidate and authorized by the candidate.
And I'm Romney, and I agree with
David. No, I'm David. I agree.
I'm Romney. I agree with David. He's a liar. That's all he lies.
Right, should we spend 5 more minutes on this?
Yeah,
and move on
5
to
more minutes.
Else?
I am so disgusted, and anybody who votes for Romney after this with the people not even being called to tell that their loved ones were being murdered at that very moment when Romney is trying to score political points. That's just shameful. And when you see somebody like McCain, who is I don't agree with him, he wants to fight wars also. When you see him stand up and make a speech last night that brought tears to the people who hardly ever cry, all right? And this was in the Senate. I mean, it was awful. All right, if you want to move on. But I'll tell you what. If you call our president, pitiful, Mr. McQuaid, pitiful, during these moments when you know damn well that your man, Romney, made a mistake, this is what I say to you, and this is what I think about the union leader. That sucks, and I guess I can say sucks.
Absolutely, and one of the things I really like, ladies and gentlemen, we just had a Keith Olbermann moment.
Where is he when we need him?
Because that's what Keith used to do. He'd look in the camera and he'd throw his papers into the camera. And remember, somehow Keith Olbermann, over the last couple of years, has gone down from one outlet to another, smaller audience, smaller audience, smaller audience. I think he's, if I understand correctly, in a couple of months he's coming to Nashua Public Access, doing a show here.
If, the problem, I hear what you're saying, and he's certainly, let's face facts, there's a difference.
He's a nut.
No, there's a difference.
Smart nut, but a nut.
There's a difference between a genius and someone who's temperamental. And I've got to take your side on this one. He just can't get along with the people he works for. But if somebody reads some of the stuff that he wrote at the end of his programs, it's like reading in colleges they study it. He's that good of a writer, probably one of the best the country's had. But he certainly didn't agree with the Republicans.
Right.
All I can say.
But you know what he's good. If you can get the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah, I know. He's one of the absolute best writers there was, but I'm sorry he's not on the air.
Almost as good as George Will.
Yeah, George Will sucks. Excuse me. I've used that word twice. I apologize. I shouldn't do that because, I did radio for 6 years, and my boss, as I've told you before, was Ed Leicius. Yeah. If I ever said that on the air, he'd come in literally and bang me on the head. Yeah. That's not right. I shouldn't have done that. I should have thrown the paper. I think McQuaid is wrong. That's awful without making any mention of what took place. But I want to say one thing.
What?
I picked up the Telegraph, and the Telegraph, National Telegraph, is my paper. My family's had it for well over 100 years.
That's our hometown paper.
Hometown paper. Nothing.
About what?
Yesterday. Nothing about Romney. Nothing about our embassies. Nothing about the death. I looked at it and I said, this has got to be yesterday's paper, the day before's paper. Yeah. And I went, maybe it is. Maybe I looked at it and said the 13th, but I thought today was the 14th, so I gave them credit. But we can't have that. A newspaper must be available for us. This is not right, okay? Us, Telegraph, not getting it. And by the way, I didn't get Sunday's Telegraph. I don't know why I didn't get it. I just didn't get it.
You mean our hometown paper did not deliver Sunday
Well,
to you?
you know, I thought I didn't pay the bill. I mean, I'm saying, okay, I didn't pay the bill. But I didn't know that it was taken out automatically. So
right.
I think, and by the way, Patch, I've got to tell you something about Patch. We'll get to the...
Oh, I just signed up for it.
Oh, yeah, I'm on it. Did you, you want to, what do you want to talk about now?
30 seconds if I can. I want to apologize to you.
For me?
To you. Not for you. Not for you, but to you. I was a little bit out of the realm of where I should be last week. I think I called you an idiot and probably a few other things. And in the spirit of what you've just talked about with Dick McQuaid, it is Dick McQuaid, isn't it?
Who cares?
Whatever.
It's a union leader.
You know, in that, I used to work for a guy named Dick McQuaid. Joe McQuaid is his name.
Yeah.
In that spirit, I want to apologize. I stepped over a line. I was feeling grumpy. I was feeling out of sorts. No excuse. We've talked about it. I just want to clear the air.
Well, you know, once again, one has to understand, it was my show called Gidge World.
Yep.
And I've had Democrats on because I'm a Democrat, and it was okay, but I wasn't having any fun. And then I said, let's get Dave. And within 5 shows, the decision was made that you and I were going to do a show. So I got basically rid of my show. And I'm going to say, we have talked about this. There's going to only be one boss, right? I'm one, you're two. It'll always be that way.
I'm Ed McMahon. Okay. You're Johnny.
Ed lived longer than Johnny.
Well, that's true, but probably not make as much money.
Yeah. And the reason for this is somebody has to take it on, but you know, and you're getting really strong at it. So our talks are getting a little bit better, etc. Last week you were a little off.
I was.
But last week, because I've done media before, I should have handled it differently too. So I wasn't completely
You're not
on.
saying you should have hit me, are you?
No, I should have handled it. I should have brought it to your attention and said, you know, I call you a dummy or something, but I always laugh, but you're an idiot. And I go, oh, geez, don't tell anybody else, or etc. But anyway, that's okay.
All right.
Okay?
Well, it's clear. All right.
By the way, you owe me lunch? You're going to buy me lunch?
I was going to have lunch with you today. I was going to take you out to lunch. Where? To Rollins, is that?
That's where I eat.
The Ward 6?
Ward 6, yeah.
All right.
Rollins is quick.
Quick?
I mean, it's really quick.
Yep.
All right. Let's put it this way. I'm not kidding. Went to McDonald's. Never go to McDonald's. Went to McDonald's. I said, I want to buy burgers, and so I brought them home. It costs more to eat at McDonald's than at Rollins.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never been to Rollins.
You've never been to Rollins.
What are you up to for lunch tomorrow?
Rollins. All
right, Rollins. We'll do Rollins.
We'll go to Rollins.
And by the time people see this, we'll have already had lunch.
Yeah, we probably have gained the weight and lost the
That's
weight.
right. There we go.
Okay.
All right, go for it. We got something else on.
No, you want to talk about politics?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. What we've got here is we just had the primary elections.
Yes.
And without going too deeply into it, you and I both ran unopposed. In other words, each of us was in a 3-person ward.
Right.
There were 3 Democrats
and
the 3 Republicans, and we won that. I just came back from the Republican victory breakfast, the Republican Unity breakfast in Bedford a couple of hours ago, and we had Bobby Jindal speaking to us from Louisiana. Very interesting guy, governor of Louisiana. Some parallels between Louisiana and the state of New Hampshire as far as trying to bring business in and doing things, a lot of things that are not comparable. But one of the points, Speaker O'Brien talked for a little bit, and he made the point that Maggie Hassan, is it Hassan or Hassan? Hassan. Maggie Hassan was potentially responsible for some of the issues that are now coming up with the Liquor Commission. And given the fact that you were on the special committee, And you've been going to meetings, and this is going to be a biggie. I was wondering if you could comment on that. Tell us what's going on. And
Okay, I'm in Commerce, that's in my literature also, is that there are only two people from Nashua in Commerce. I'm the senior, so I've got the most knowledge. And Commerce is banking and insurance. So I'm in the insurance division, but I go to all meetings because it's the banking division.
Right.
So I have to vote on them all. So why they divided them, nobody knows, but everybody goes to them all like we used to do. And I got a call from the Speaker's office, and they asked if I wanted to be on this commission to study the Liquor Commission to see how everything was going. So I said, well, I better say yes, simply because I want to know what the big problems are. So we have had, yesterday was our second meeting, okay? And we were supposed to do 2 days this week and 2 days last week, but because of the election, we did 1 day last week, 1 day this week, and then there's 2 days right up through November. So the Republicans, at this point, we're all looking at stuff. There has been some mistakes made, but you know, what is it, $500 million a year that they bring in? Everything's just a little blip. It's nothing big deal. We sell more liquor and alcohol in the state of New Hampshire per capita than any state in the United States. So when you have that, because we have obviously no sales tax, it's run by the state could, you know, always being competitive. In other words, it's not privately owned, so one's not fighting another one. So we sell more than absolutely anyone. So now we're all trying to figure out exactly what's going on. And I saw an amendment by Maggie Hassan, and it was to give the Liquor Commission and people who run the stores a little more leeway. An example, before the amendment, if a liquor store window was smashed in, okay, literally smashed out, that could not be fixed until you practically went to the legislature. They couldn't fix it. So they said, no, we need a little bit more leeway. In the time that this amendment has been there, we have sold more alcohol. Now, there are a couple problems, nothing that can't be settled. They used an individual to do a study on beer, if they wanted to put beer in liquor stores, and they used a lobbyist, all right, which is illegal, and Maggie Hassan wrote that. It's illegal to use a lobbyist. Now, why they're turning around and saying it was Maggie Hassan's fault, it's right there. She's the one who wrote the law. But the commission has an advertising agency, said to the advertising agency, will you do a study? The advertising agency says, yes, I will do a study. They turn around and they hire somebody with probably no knowledge of what the law is. The person does the study, and then all of a sudden we find out the person was a lobbyist, which is illegal. Now, we're all trying to figure out what are they trying to do. And you went to the breakfast, and now you're saying, because you have Ovid Lamontaigne's, all right?
I do.
Okay, you do. So now we're all trying to figure out where they're going to use this against Maggie Hassan. But her amendment was the law that the Liquor Commission itself broke, but it was not a big thing, a small thing. And at this particular point, with 1,000 pages that I have, 1,050 now pages of material I have to study all the way through November, so campaigning is going to be a little bit difficult. But we found nothing, have seen nothing that would say that you got to change this. And I would be very leery if somebody said, no, we'll make more money if we privatize it. I don't think so.
Well, you know, that's interesting, and I don't know about privatizing, but I did my own study this morning. I stopped in at the Merrimack
liquor store.
State liquor store, and I just did a couple of pricing things, and I think this is very interesting. I don't drink anymore. I used to, and one of the things I used to drink was Svedka vodka.
Yep.
Today, 1.75 liters, on special, 23 bucks.
Okay.
It sounds very, very good. Jack Daniels, 1.75, 35 bucks. Jameson, 1.75, 40 bucks. Bailey's, 1.75, 29, and Johnny Walker Blanc, 1.75 liters, 61. My point is, these seem like very, very good prices.
Are they?
I don't know, because I don't drink, but I've got to believe, from what I remember, on the Svedka vodka, 35 bucks for almost 2 liters.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of vodka. It would take me at least a week to go through that. And
it used to take me about a day and a half.
You know, in Massachusetts, I was buying, you know, $20 for 750 milliliters or something like that.
So you're
so I'm saying is this seems like very good pricing.
It is.
And I would want to support what you said as far as making sure that we maintain the income for the state that comes from this. And I, too, would be very leery of privatizing this.
It is literally the goose that keeps laying the golden egg for the state of New Hampshire.
Yep.
And if the statistics were not as they were, and statistically per capita, we sell more liquor than anyone in the United States. If there was anything less than that, I can see them saying, let's privatize it. It's really, really not good. Mm-hmm. And now they're going to use it politically.
Well, I don't know, but
they will.
Well, okay.
Now we know they will.
You know, I'm just duty bound to bring up issues.
I'm glad you did.
That I see, even if I don't necessarily agree with them, I'll try to at least
lay them
out.
By the way, in the material, 1,000 pages I got, the first thing on the top was Maggie Hassan's amendment. Mm-hmm. All right? And her amendment, they broke the law. But it's like they almost didn't know they were breaking the law, because they said, we got to do a study and save beer. So their advertising agency hires someone who's a lobbyist, but the advertising agency doesn't know that's illegal. So then when somebody finds out who is in the agency finds out who's the, let's say, the cop, mm-hmm. goes and says, hey, you guys,
the top liquor enforcement officer,
right. Yeah. So Eddie Edwards, yeah. And they go, well, it can't be, and he's going, yeah, it is. And so that was a lot of confusion.
All right.
So it's really, how can somebody use Maggie Hassan's amendment that shows that they broke the law?
Well, we'll find out. This is to be continued, because this is going to be ongoing all the way through the campaign, and this whole commission. I mean, one of the reasons I'm starting to attend these, at least drop in and try to keep an eye on this, is I really think that this is going to be one of the biggest things.
Yeah, you were there yesterday.
I was there yesterday. I was there the first meeting for a little bit, not, you know, just
but you see, one thing I've got to say is that because you got the time, okay, yeah. and you got the money and the new car, and you got your,
well, the 3.5-year-old used car, yeah.
That's new compared to what you had.
I suppose. Well, it's true. I had one that was 9 years old, had 250,000 miles on it.
It had Band-Aids on the tires.
Well, yeah, Band-Aids on the Band-Aids, actually, on the tires.
All right, okay. Right. So, but you know, and I'm a Democrat, and I certainly want you to vote for Democrats, but when I see Democrats and the Republicans sitting there listening, and he doesn't have to come up to find out, and then he comes back and he tells me this, which I wouldn't have found out, about how it looks like the speaker might be using this as a political thing. And Ovid Lamonte definitely will do it. But I saw Maggie Hassan. I called her. And then I saw her and I said, you know, Maggie, they're going to, we don't know. They might use this against you. And she says, well, you know, do what they have to do. Mm-hmm. And so this is not good. But
well, this could be this could be valid. It could be invalid. It could be smoke. Or it could be the real thing. We don't know. I mean, I'm sitting here. I don't know.
I'm sitting here, and I've gone over almost 1,000 pages, and I've read everything, and I tried to plug her in. Where is Maggie wrong with her amendment? And then they said she snuck the amendment in at midnight or something like that. I'm going to myself, yeah, nobody voted on it, so she just sticks in an amendment. Anyway, it's rather strange.
All right.
That's New Hampshire politics. Okay. So anyway, back to you. How did you do in your? You stood out there with a sign, I take it?
Well, actually, no, I didn't do any sign waving. What I did was on election day, I actually spent the afternoon going door to door because I knew I was going to be on the ballot anyway.
Yeah.
So I figured I could better use my time going door to door and start working on the general election.
Yeah.
And I've been doing a bunch of that. It takes me a little bit of oomphin' to get out there, but once I do, I love it. I mean, I love talking with the folks. People the people that I get to are passionate in most cases. They're very straightforward. They don't pull their punches. I did run into a couple on Tuesday, and they were foreign born, and one of the things that the wife brought up was that she felt as though she couldn't grow in New Hampshire, and I was trying to tease out what she.
Why?
Well, that's what I was trying to tease out, and what I was getting from her gradually was, you know, I can't be the person I want to be. I've got to go down to Massachusetts to work, and I was trying to ask her about, well, you know, do you feel discriminated against or anything like that?
She had to go to Massachusetts. A lot of people from Nashville go to Massachusetts.
Right. But what I thought was interesting. They have no idea who they're going to vote for. At least they wouldn't tell me. And this was, I asked them the questions before I told them that I was Republican, and it was just very interesting because I don't see that unless I knock on people's doors.
You have to knock it, and I say if I knock on 100 doors and talk to 100 people, 100 people say they will vote for me, I will be elected. But I've got something to tell you, and I'm not going to mention any names because it's not fair, because we're all standing there and holding signs, even because that's what we believe. We believe you hold the signs, you stand there, that's the beginning of the election for us. But, and I'm not going to mention the name, the person is a free stater. He's a libertarian, and he believes government should really not pay anything. In fact, he believes that all roads should be toll roads.
Okay.
All roads. So he says all roads should be toll roads, so then you can bring down the taxes for the people who live in the state of New Hampshire. Every road pays for itself. And I said, well, here in the South End, when they built the highway, they put underneath it the tunnels just in case they may. Oh, that's okay with me. That's fine. Then we don't. Then the citizens do not have to pay for it. The citizens, it'll be paid for by the people who use it, and that's fine with me. He says, I think every road should be that way. And I said, excuse me, you're going to stop the taxes, but how about me if I go to Massachusetts? That cost me $1, and it cost me $1 to get back. That's not a tax. And I said, you know, what you don't know is Massachusetts said if you have a toll road and it costs people money to get into Massachusetts, they will put a toll road up, making money to get into New Hampshire. So I said, well, guess what? Now we're going to have a toll in Massachusetts, we're going to have a toll in the South End, you're going to have a toll in Bedford, and you're going to have a toll in Hooksett. Gee, I'm wondering if somebody's writing out these trip nicks and things like that, if they're going to really say, yeah, you ought to go through Nashua.
Well, also talk about government getting smaller. Wouldn't that just make government a whole lot bigger?
I don't know. And you know, I like the freedom. I want to say one thing because it's just coming to my mind. People talk about the freedom, and everybody wants the freedom. Except something a Republican comes up with. Sometimes I wonder what goes through their heads. And this is a Republican idea. They get mad. So they said, you know what we ought to do? We're going to put a bill in whereby we will choose the people who go to Congress and to the Senate.
Well, I think it was the Senate, yeah. Going back to what it was before the 1920s, when it used to be the state legislature which picked the senators.
So let me see if I have this correct. 400 people to 1.3 million people.
Right.
Now, where is the freedom? You can't choose for, anyway, that's just something.
Well, no, it's an interesting point, another thing that we agree on. You know, talking about this big government, small government, listening to the radio a couple of days ago, and
you mean you're not listening to porn anymore?
No, not listening to porn. Porn. Oh, porn. No, not anymore. But it's on Sirius satellite radio. That's
I
a
know,
discussion for another time.
That's just a joke.
I know.
All right, okay,
No, it's not. Well, sort of a joke. Secretary of State for Ohio was on, and he was talking about how they have extended voting. They send everybody a notice for an absentee ballot now. Whole state of Ohio, they've changed their voting laws. You can vote for up to 5 weeks in advance. You can send in an absentee ballot, yada, yada, yada. You know, talk about expanding the ability to vote.
That's great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he said, you know, the only thing we've done is we're not going to let people come in and vote over the counter the Sunday, the Saturday, Sunday, or Monday before the election, because we need to get our lists in order. We we need to get our lists updated so we can send them out to the polls. But you can come in and vote up to 5 weeks in advance.
But you can't 3 days before the election.
You can't just come into the city hall and vote.
Okay.
You can go to the polls
on
Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, and apparently the Obama administration is suing them.
Why?
Because they're not because they are allowing absentee votes to come in, or people who are in the military to come in, but nobody else.
I understand, yeah.
And the Obama administration is suing, and veterans groups are opposing the suit. But here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. One of the political liberal commentators who was on there said, well, that's awful. You know, we ought to expand people's right to vote. In fact, we ought to federalize this. We ought to make the federal government responsible for this so that everybody has the same right everywhere.
It is a federal government.
Everybody has the same right.
It is a federal government.
In fact, we ought to give an ID card to people so that even when they move, their vote goes with them, and there's never a question of them not being able to vote. And I'm thinking, oh, let's see. How many tens of hundreds of billions of dollars would something like this cost?
Too much.
And I was starting to speak to the radio, and then I just started laughing.
Okay. One thing I did see in the Telegraph was 7% of the people who went in to vote, did not have an ID, all right, and were mad, and let the people at the polls know.
Was it 7%?
One lady, 7%.
Yeah.
One lady came out and she said, I really don't want to show she doesn't trust government.
Right.
All right. Now, let us give a number, because I think a number is very important. 190 million votes. 190 million votes. 83 people were prosecuted for voter fraud.
And now, what's the period of time that's in?
Jeez, I would say
the last 10 years, or the last
decade,
5 years, or the last
decade.
Well, I don't know.
So I thought it was in the last like 3 elections.
Okay.
All right, but anyway, 190 million 83. So all of a sudden, the problem is not voter fraud. It is to stop people from voting. Now, you may say that's not true. And
well, just for the sake of argument, that's not true.
All right.
All right, there we go.
Yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, who, by the way, Angie Kopka, you may know, she's now 97 years old. Take my word for it, there's nothing wrong with her mind. She has a little hard of hearing, but she can hear better than most people, and she has a selective hearing. Oh,
okay.
Yeah, she's very good. And she doesn't drive. And she has no ID because she no longer drives. So, she, by the way, is one of the 3 people. She made the list. She beat a couple people out, 97 years old.
So she's going to be on the ballot.
She's going to be
on the Democratic side for state rep.
Right. But not having a license or identification, she can't vote.
I'll vouch for her.
Well, yeah, me too. So here is the stupidity of it all right? And as you know, it's a Republican thing. We know how that goes, and there's so many people, and they figure that in the minority of the people have a hard time getting the IDs, etc. So they figure that if we get rid of most of the minority that vote for Obama, guess what? They can possibly win. We'll find out anyway. We'll find out.
Well, quick story on that. As I was coming out of the polls, ran into a friend of mine from church, and she said, that she had gotten instructions from her partner that she was going to be asked for ID. And her partner said, now you tell them. no, I don't have an ID. And then when they tell you, here, would you like this piece of paper so you can get one, you say, no, I don't want one. And you growl at them.
Well, it's
I kind of liked it.
Yeah, I know, but it is when this becomes political, and that's what the Republicans have done. It's right across the country. We don't. I think from the Secretary of State up here in so many 10 years, up here in the state, here, 62 people in a decade. Okay, and not all of them were found guilty of the crime. So in a decade, so all of a sudden, when people say you need an ID because of voter fraud, all of a sudden it's not the voter fraud that's the problem. The problem is getting people to get that particular type of identification. And it's hard.
Yeah. Well, it is for some people. And one of the things that's interesting.
It's hard for who, though?
It's hard for people who don't get out, hard for people in elderly people, nursing homes, people who are disabled, anybody who doesn't normally go out and about.
People who doesn't drive?
Who don't drive. Well, could normally
people
go out and about.
Who do not have. So we're talking basically about a group of people that are minorities.
Right. Well, not necessarily ethnic minorities, but minorities in the sense of they belong to groups which have difficulty getting about.
Not you personally, but Republicans should be ashamed of themselves. I mean, it sounds so good that everybody should have an ID so everybody can vote, so there's no voter fraud. But all of a sudden we realize it's not voter fraud. I mean, 190 million and only 83, I'm not even sure if they were convictions. So why are they doing that? And all of a sudden, the minorities are the people who are not going to have or can't get the identification, or the elderly, as you have said. So
I just thought of something here, and my Republican colleagues are the folks who are driving this bus, and here we as a party are saying we need to involve the government more in getting people IDs so that they can do their constitutional thing. It does seem a little bit ass backwards, doesn't it?
There's a lady sitting there. Hi, Kenny, how are you? I said, I'm fine. She says, you got your ID on you? I says, you know me. Oh, you have to have an ID. So I took out the state ID. That we
the house arrest. That's what I used too.
You're going to love it. So the person, I says, is this legal? She says, well, we're not sure. So they had to go down the list. So now I'm thinking to myself, I'm running. She knows me.
And this is the ID that you're given because you're a legislator.
Yeah, which looks like it looks like phony. It looks phony. It
looks like well, that's because of your picture.
Well, right, but you know what the ID is? The only thing the ID is good for is what?
I don't know anything it's good for.
Getting into parks. We can get in. 2 people can get into the parks free.
I thought that's why we had the license plates.
No. Well, I don't know. We get the license plates. Okay, we don't have. We probably got about 6 minutes left. Any gripes that you would like? Anything that you would like to let people know? Anything that we should let people know that's taken place?
Well, something, and I want to be careful how I phrase this. You and I have been in contact with a central figure in government in the state of New Hampshire to invite that person.
Speaker of the House.
Well, now hang on for a second. And I have provided information to his scheduler. I talked with her briefly yesterday. I talked with another person in his office today. He would like to do this. He doesn't know yet. He's working on his schedule. And what I would like to propose to you is that we extend invitations to every single candidate running from governor on down to members of the House of Representatives, and then start getting into people who are in the Senate and Hillsborough County, and offer them the same opportunity. And folks like Terry Norelli.
And you know the problem with that.
What?
Because we have talked about it, and I think this is really important. As mentioned, I started the show, and all of us was David and myself. We're being discriminated against. We're being discriminated against by both parties. Some Democrats don't want to come on because he's a Republican, and a lot of Republicans don't want to come on because I'm a Democrat.
Wait a minute. Does this mean that we are a persecuted minority of two?
We are.
We are.
I know that.
Federal suit.
Federal lawsuit.
Who do we sue?
I know.
Who do we sue?
I know. Maybe we can own the station.
I would love this. Actually, we could probably sue the station as
no, we can't sue.
No, we're not going to sue the station.
But,
please keep the camera on.
But I want you to think about that, because in my literature, which I'll show you, it says don't ask. Stop asking your politicians to work together. Tell them to work together. And here he is, and here I am, and last week, boy, it was quite a fight, but this week is not too bad. You took your medication this week?
I did. I took a double dose.
Right, okay.
But I'm going to probably be running out by the time we do the next show, so watch out.
All right, okay. But here we are. We are talking, and I'll tell you, we've had some very, very heated discussions here. And when Socrates, our wisdom here, this sort of, we haven't thrown this yet. But we're putting it out, and all Republicans and Democrats, definitely, you are welcome to come on. I have told everyone, I have mentioned it to everyone, and everyone says, oh, sure, well, come on, give me a time, and not giving me the time. So we are two people, Republican and Democrat, who certainly disagree on a lot of stuff. But we agree we should try to get together. We get together, we argue. I think this is the best show. I think it's the most interesting show than any of them. They sit around. I love these people. Yeah, you agree on this? Yeah, I agree on that. Do you agree on this? Yes, I agree on that. Agree on that. We hardly agree on anything.
That's right.
We hardly agree to disagree.
But we talk.
But we talk.
We talk, and we haven't killed each
other yet. So we're being discriminated against.
The bromance survives.
The bromance?
The bromance.
The bromance. Okay, let's have. I'll drink to that.
And maybe on that.
Okay, this is the 13th, and this is on a Thursday.
That's right.
All right, and this is of September. Let's hope no more people get killed on our embassies. Let's hope that the world calms down a little, and let's hope some politicians keep their mouths shut, all of them. Both Republicans and Democrats when it comes to this. Now, I'm going to give you the goodbye, then it'll turn over to David. My name is Ken Gidge. I am running for state representative again. I got news for you. I'm not a person who will be pushed around by anyone. That's for sure. I guarantee you that. And that's what you need, especially when there's only 6 Democrats here in the city of Nashville, second largest city, and 20 Republicans. I don't get pushed around. And I think that's what you want. And also, I am in commerce, really important. And when I vote, it's not Democrat or Republican. It's for all of us. Commerce, insurance, banking. Okay, my name is Ken Gidge, G-I-D-G-E, and I can be gotten at kgidge@aol.com. That's really simple. I'm on Facebook, so if you want to befriend me, you can befriend me. There's also a website called gidgeworld.com, and that's where I have art, and I'll show you the art. You see the art? See this? And over there, it's that amazing. All right, okay, it's that amazing. And David.
Thank you. I'm Dave Robbins, and there's a camera there somewhere with, there it is, a camera with my light on it. I'm Dave Robbins, and I'm running for state rep from Ward 9. I had to check it just to make sure. And you can reach me at 978-500-9475. Getting some literature, going out and walking. And the one thing that makes me very different from all of the other candidates,
a hell of a lot,
is because I limit contributions to no more than $50 per person from anyone, any organization, anything, the party, any kind of union organization. Nobody can give me more than $50. Although
telephone number.
If you're a married couple, you can. Oh, yeah, at the end of the show. 978-500-9475, David S. Robbins at Comcast.net.
Oh, one thing, I got $100 from J.D. Salinger's son.
You did?
Matt Salinger.
Was it from him and his wife?
It was for I don't know. He lives in Connecticut anyway.
You see, I wouldn't, if it was just from him, I wouldn't have taken it.
Listen, I'm a Democrat. I got to take what I can get. All right, listen. Thank you, David. Okay, listen, thank you for watching. And this is the most interesting show. I don't care what anybody says. And by the way, if you don't like what we say, you like what we say, guess what? Call, let us know, walk in. We'll give you 5 minutes anyway.
All right.
That's it.
Take care.
Thank you.